I'm waking up now myself as well. I'm just waking up now. Okay, so here we go. Start the recording. Okay, so guys, this is OET Speaking. As usual, we're going to start the week with an input session where we just look exactly at what OET want. Okay, we say, okay, what does this mean? I'll give you example phrases and I'll make it all very, very simple and very clear. Okay, then tomorrow you'll have like a focused practice session where you can just practice specific things. And then every day this week, we'll be practicing relationship building. Okay, so let's get started. Can everyone see hopefully you can see my screen here.
Yes, we can see it very clear.
Yes.
This one.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
So what do you,
Okay,
you see?
we can see.
I'm waking up now. Okay,
1, 2, 3.
We're live on YouTube as well. So
3,
okay,
2, 1.
we'll start with, of course, just reviewing. And we'll say, what is it? Okay. Then we'll look at the criteria. And I'll make a diagram. And then we'll talk about common errors, common mistakes to avoid. I have been teaching OET specifically for about 6 years now. Okay, so that means you see the same errors all the time. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, here's the top things that you should try to not do, because that's what so many people do. Okay, let's get started, and I'll ask to speak to Aisha, if it's okay, Aisha or Saria or Steph, one of you three. That's okay. Okay, very simple, very simple. What is, of course, relationship building? Do you know?
Yes, relationship building, when we talk with patients, we ask and we cooperate with patients.
Okay, so it's when we're talking with the patient. I like that. You said when we ask.
Yes, or when we structure the dialogue.
Now, structuring is very good, Aisha, and you should structure and organize, but that's not exactly relationship building. Aisha, I think you know what it is. Okay, so Aisha, if a patient complains, if a patient says to you, I feel terrible today, what should you respond with? What's the response, everyone, to that?
I'm sorry to hear
I'm
that.
sorry to hear that.
What, Aisha?
Empathy.
Yeah. Aisha, what is this? I'm sorry to hear that.
Empathy.
Yeah. Now, it's more complicated than that, guys. There's more things, okay? But in general, the most important thing for me when it comes to relationship building, what OET are looking for is empathy, okay? What does empathy mean? Khalid, can you give me a definition of empathy?
Empathy means put yourself in the shoe of the patient.
Put yourself in their shoes. That's a lovely idiom. Guys, what does it mean to put yourself in the shoes? Empathy, put yourself in the shoes.
Understanding someone.
You are the patient.
Understanding the patient.
Yeah, the emotions.
Understanding the patient.
Understand
Look from their
Emotion of someone.
windows.
There's lots of great answers there. I'm just going to take Charles. Thank you. Understanding. I think it's, Charles, it's like showing, understanding of.
Understanding, yes.
Or actually, really, probably better would be sharing. Okay. Or so when you say, I'm sorry to hear that, sorry is like a feeling. You're kind of saying, I have the same feelings of you. I feel bad. Like you feel bad. Okay. Don't confuse this with there's something else. What if I say this? Try not to worry. What's that?
It's showing like you are giving misjudgment, like
Reassurance.
reassuring.
Reassurance. Okay. So reassurance. Okay. It's a bit different from empathy. With reassurance, we're trying to say, maybe Saida, could you come on, please? Or Chandimali? Jello? What is reassurance? Try not to worry. You're in safe hands. Just Jello. Let's have Jello. I think she's there. Jello, could you say hello?
Yeah, just sir, keeping the patient at ease.
Putting the patient at ease. I like that. And Chandimali, could you say hello? She's trying, but I think she doesn't.
It's very normal.
False reassurance.
Yeah. And guys, if I say your name, then speak. But if I don't, just give the other people a chance to talk, as I'm always trying to say. So putting the patient at ease, this would be reassurance. What does it mean, Jello? To put them at ease would be to make them not, guys, make them not, beginning with W.
Worry.
Worry.
Everyone now, worry, okay? But empathy is sharing feelings, okay? Now, we can look at both of those this week. You should give reassurance, of course. But relationship building, in general, the main thing is this. The main thing is this, okay? Now, OET talk about relationship building in the exam, and they have something called a criteria. What is a criteria, guys? Ahmad, what is a criteria?
The way you score something.
Yeah, so OET scoring system. Okay. It's a little bit complicated in speaking. Have you guys seen this before? Let me just show you. Has everyone seen this?
Yes.
Yes.
So many things, right? There's a lot of things happening here. Okay. But don't worry, because we are only looking at one thing today. What are we looking at today, guys?
Relationship building.
So it's only this. It's only
A1.
this here, right? Now, let's look at the scoring system very quickly. And I'm going to ask, please, Batul, you could say hello, or...
Hello.
Batul, what is the scoring system here? What's the worst possible score?
It's 0.
0. And the best score you can get?
3.
3. Okay. So
Yeah.
I would love if all of you guys here, all SET students, should be getting 3. There's no reason why you cannot get this level if you study with SET. Okay, and just pay attention to what we're saying. You can all get a 3, right? Now let's study this in more detail. Okay, so I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to look at the scoring system specifically here. All right. Let's just take 1 minute and let's all read this, guys. 1 minute. Read this. Okay, just read it. And I'm going to ask you some questions. Okay. Could I speak to Zainab? Could you say hello, Zainab, or Shiromi? Is it all right?
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so is that Zainab?
Yes, it's me.
So Zainab, can you read A1? What does it say?
Initiating the interaction appropriately. Greeting, introductions, nature of interview.
So let's make this more simple. Let's summarize this, Zainab, okay? I'm going to get rid of this. 1 second. I'm going to remove that. And can we make it very, very simple, very, very clear? What is this? Do you know, Zainab? What is it?
Greeting, introduction to patients.
It's the greeting. It's the introduction, okay? It's the introducing yourself. Introduce yourself. Did we study that already, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
When did we study this?
Last week.
Last week.
Last week.
Yeah.
So last week, when you were listening to Lawrence talk about these things, he was talking about A1. So we already looked at this, okay? Now, A2, Rafilwe, can you say hello? Or Suleiman, can you say hello? Ruth, can you say hello?
Hello.
Hello, Suleiman.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hello.
Sulaiman, can you read that? What does that say? Demonstrating.
Demonstrating an attentive and respectful attitude.
Okay, let's make it more simple, Sulaiman. What does that mean, really? What does demonstrate mean? Demonstrate.
That means you can show your respect to the patient,
Sure.
not
What does attentive mean, guys? Attentive.
Good
Manner,
listeners.
manner, good
Listening.
manner.
It's listening, isn't it? Farouk, nice to see you. How are you?
Active listening.
Thanks.
It's like showing, to be attentive, to attend is like to listen and pay attention, right? Attention. So you're listening to them. Don't ignore what they say. Of course, of course. Don't be disrespectful. Of course, right? Don't say, you know, you're a very bad person. Of course, you will not say that. Okay, A3, adopting a non-judgmental approach. Okay. Michelle, could you say hello, Petruta? Adopting what does that mean, non-judgmental? What does that mean?
For example, when you know a patient is smoking, and the best way to approach that is not to say, "Oh, but you know you couldn't smoke, so that's why your disease got complicated." So the best way is to, okay, we have to find solutions to this. This is a way we can manage the situation. Don't worry, I know it's hard for you to try to stop smoking, but we have more alternatives, and we can start to work from this point, for example.
That's so lovely, Michelle, and also your pronunciation is so good. It's getting really, really good. So can I use that as an example? Let's use that example. So
Of course.
if you're telling someone to quit smoking, guys, don't say you shouldn't smoke or don't smoke around your children, right? You can't say those kinds of things. That's what we mean by judging. So, Michelle, what did you say? What can we say? Michelle, say that again.
We could say it more like, okay, I understand the situation. I'm going to give you more alternatives so we can have a good start point. So we can I just forgot
This is great. So,
but something like that.
this is very English sounding. It's so polite sounding. So it's very English. So I understand your situation. So that's actually a bit of empathy, I think. Then I'm going to give you some alternatives, right? Don't say no. Don't say you should not. You must not. Okay. You're going to say things like this. Okay. Now A4. Everyone, what is A4?
Empty.
Show empathy, showing empathy for the patient.
And that's what I was saying is the most important one.
Here.
Khalid, why is empathy the most important? It's just my opinion, but it's because
empathy is the main important part, because if you don't show the empathy, so the actual we cannot make the relationship without the empathy with the patient. So we might think that they will share the patient might think that this person or this doctor is like emotionless. He doesn't have any emotions, and
exactly, it's about emotions, isn't it? It's about treating them as people, right? For example, in OET writing, can you say the patient? Are you allowed to say the patient?
No.
Always use name.
That's part of the same. It's part of the same thing that you get in the USA, UK, and many medical organizations. They're trying to humanize, right? They're trying to humanize interactions. So we always use the patient's name, and we always try to think about their feelings as well as the medical side. Okay. So now the thing is here, can anyone give me an example of what can you say for empathy? What can you say? I'm sorry
to hear that.
Sorry to hear that. Okay, now let me show you one of the big problems with empathy, guys. Let me just show you this. Okay, so what if I say, Khalid, can you be a patient?
Yes, why not?
Let's say you have a headache. Okay, it's a really bad one. Okay.
Yeah.
So, guys, listen to this. So how are you feeling today, Khalid?
Oh, I'm really feeling very terrible, doctor. Since last night, I couldn't sleep, and it's like it's killing me. And there's a shooting in my like in my
Oh.
head. It's like someone shoot the bullet in my headache, and it make me so much like.
I'm really sorry to hear that, Khalid. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes, doctor. It's like yeah, the things like the pin is coming inside my head and it's just pinching me all the time, and I'm just waking up all the time during the night, and I just it's so terrible. I cannot control it.
I'm really sorry to hear that. Can you tell me a bit about your sleeping patterns?
Yes, I cannot sleep nowadays because of this terrible headache. I'm always waking up during the middle of the night and just going around, and still I couldn't get better, and I tried to do something else, and still I feel the same, and just it getting worse.
I'm really sorry to hear that. Okay, what's wrong? What's
You
wrong?
repeat yourself.
You repeat the
breathing.
same phrase. You memorize the phrase.
So this is the number one, I would say this is the number one problem.
Yeah.
Number one problem students make is repeating the same phrases, right? How many phrases do we need to give empathy?
Different phrases is not like countable. We can use many as much as we can, I think.
Well, is 2 enough? Do I need more than 2?
No, not too much.
No, with
Like,
2 it's okay.
No, I think you need a bit more. You need to at least 3 or 4, and also there's other things as well. What if? Well, I'm going to teach you guys in a minute. So today, guys, we're going to focus very much on empathy, and the reason is we need to not be repetitive. Okay, we need to. There's also other problems with empathy. I'll show you them in a minute. But first, okay, we're going to focus on empathy today. Does anyone have any questions about the other things? This will be our focus in this class, empathy. Okay. But is anyone having any doubts about A2? Showing respect, listening. It's fairly clear.
Yes.
Yes.
How can I show them that I'm listening to them?
by nodding and okay.
Being active
Echoing.
and
Echoing, maybe.
what is echoing, Farouk?
Okay. Repeat keywords.
Repeating the words.
Repeating keywords. Okay? This is not so important, and it's also other criteria that talk about this as well. So anyway, if there's no questions, I would like to focus on empathy because it's the most important one, because it's really key. The other really important one is, of course, A1. The other really important one is A1, but we already studied A1 last week. Okay. Does anyone have any questions before we go and look at empathy more? If you're new to OET, please don't be shy. Okay. So let's get into this in more detail then, guys, because it gets really, for me, this is very interesting. There's actually 2 types of empathy. Okay. Now, Shiromi, could you say hello? Or Batul?
Hello.
There are 2 types of empathy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, when serious condition like cancer or death,
Serious condition. Give me an example of a serious. What do you mean serious?
when someone have cancer,
Yeah. Okay. What else?
lost father or a close friend.
What if I have a headache? Is that serious?
No, it's normal condition, I think.
Call this normal empathy. Okay, good. And what is the difference between these? Could you give me an example? Can I say here, I'm sorry to hear that?
No, I
No.
say I'm so sorry to hear that.
Right. So I can say, I'm so sorry to hear that. Or what else, guys, can we say if it's very serious?
I can only
imagine.
I'm
only
really,
imagine what you are
really,
going
really.
through.
I am very, very sorry.
You could say, I'm really, really sorry.
Yeah.
Hear
It's
that?
a bereavement, I think.
Bereavements, we could also say, I'm very, very sorry. Okay. So we can, if it's a very serious situation, does anyone know what we call these? So, very, very, what do we call them? What's the name?
Intensifier.
Yeah, all right. These are
Intensifier.
intensifiers. So we can use these for intensifying serious empathy. We can also say, I can only imagine, guys, I can only
What
imagine
you must be
You must be going
What must
through.
be going through?
going through. Okay. Now, Michelle, could you say hello? Or could we have
Ellen.
what if I say I can imagine what you are going through? Is that okay? I can imagine.
No, you should. It's more. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Or I can't imagine.
If you say I can imagine, that's very insulting. It's
Yeah,
like,
because it's like, oh, but it's not a big deal. I know how the pain is, and I've got through it, so it
yeah,
wouldn't be nice.
that's a normal thing, right? Yeah, that happened to me. I'm okay now. That's what it sounds like. Okay, so it must be I can only imagine, guys. Or we can say I can't imagine. Is that okay?
Yes.
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 These ones are good. Can I say I understand?
I
Not
can
easy.
understand.
No. Can I say I can understand?
Yes, I can understand. It might be a little bit good.
No, according to OET, officially, this
Not
is
serious.
the training.
I understand is more like a normal empathy, or
Yeah. And this one, they
it's
have
not that serious.
don't never say this in a serious situation, guys. Okay, you will lose marks. I understand, or I can.
Sorry, Ellen, in the I can understand in the not serious, in the normal empathy, I mean, like we can say, use that one.
In normal empathy, we can say, I'm sorry to hear that.
I can understand that.
I can understand that. What else can we say, guys?
That's quite understandable.
It's quite understandable.
Another one, that's quite understandable. What else? Shout out if you know.
I can
It
see
might
that
be,
must be
it might be very
difficult.
hard. It might be very hard.
Must be hard.
Ada, thank you, guys.
That must be difficult.
Ada, can you come on, please? So that's, can you give me one? She was speaking before. Seda?
That's quite understandable.
And one more?
That must be hard
Be hard. That must.
or overwhelming.
You can say many things here, guys. We can say hard. We can say difficult. What else?
I know.
How do you cope with this? How do you cope with this?
Stressful. No, that must be hard. That must be stressful. That must be difficult. What else?
How do you cope with this?
No, I just want.
No.
I want one word, Khalid. Hard, difficult, stressful, worrying.
Worrying, concerning.
Concerning. There's many we can use for this. Okay. So we're just going to add in the. Is this a noun, verb, or adjective here?
Adjective.
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 Stressful, worrying.
Yeah.
And also noun can be.
Now, is there anything else we can do? Is there any other things we can do? Maxime, you've got your hand raised, sir. Can you say hello?
Hello, I've got a question.
Go on, please.
Showing normal empathy, can I say something like, oh, that sounds terrible?
Yeah, it sounds a little bit strange. That sounds. Don't say it in a very dramatic way. Okay, you have to say. It's okay, Maxime, but it might sound a little bit unnatural to say that. Okay, it depends on how you say that one. Okay, if you said it if you said it in the wrong way, it might sound a bit strange.
Okay, it's better. Oh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, this is like a cultural thing now. It's not language, it's cultural. Don't say that. Just say these ones. Okay.
I would advise maybe saying like using the word terrible is more when maybe you are giving news. So you might say, yeah, the patient hasn't had any effort. I know that sounds terrible, but we are trying to do the best. Maybe in that way, it wouldn't sound.
Yeah, in that way, it sounds natural.
No.
You're right. This word terrible, because it's so strong, you have to be careful to not sound too informal. Yeah, maybe
And
that's
what about unpleasant, maybe? Oh, that sounds unpleasant.
Unpleasant.
that sounds
No.
unpleasant. Again, it might work, but I think it's just a bit risky. Okay.
And
Try it out this week. Try it out this week. Farouk, go on.
Okay,
yes,
thank you.
Alan, it is understandable
Hmm.
and also
That's quite understandable, or that is
yeah,
understandable.
yeah.
Understandable.
And I understand your concern.
Yeah, there's many things we can do here, but one thing I want to encourage, guys, is you can do this. I'm sorry to hear that. Plus you, plus paraphrase. Paraphrase. Okay. Now, this is a high level class. We are B2 students. We are C1 level students. Okay. So it's not easy to do this, but you can try and do this. Let me give you an example of paraphrase. Okay. So Farouk, can you be my patient?
Yes, sir.
Say you have a very bad headache. Okay.
Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
so 3, 2, 1. How are you feeling today?
Doctor, I have a bad headache in front of my head.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that you have a headache in that place. What does paraphrase mean, guys? What is paraphrase?
When you use
You change
different
the way
words to try to say the
words.
same thing.
Kind of
Gotcha.
repeating, aren't you? You're repeating their idea, right? So I'm sorry to hear that you have a headache. I'm sorry to hear that you are anxious. I'm sorry to hear that you fell down the stairs. Okay. With this one, we can add in this extra thing, which sounds very nice. Okay. Can I say, it's quite understandable that you have a headache?
Yeah.
No.
No. I can understand that you have a headache.
If you know the reason, yes, you can say, but you don't know the reason.
Just for this one, just for the first one, please. Okay, just that one. Okay, one other thing I've got to mention is reassurance. Remember we talked about reassurance?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we need to reassure patients sometimes?
Yes.
Of course we do. Now, Khaled, I'm going to ask you, Khaled, what language can we use for reassurance?
So, for example, I personally use in some instances like the good news is that your blood, for example, your blood pressure is controllable, or other phrase we can use in that situation is, for example, let me reassure you, reassure you, or also
But the most famous one, everyone, is try
not to be try not to be worried.
This is a very silly one, but we all often say you are in safe.
You are safe, and we are here to help you.
But you know what? The best way to reassure Khaled and all of you guys, the best way, tell them it's normal. Okay? It doesn't matter how you say it, just say, look, it's fair, that I'll give you one example. There are lots of people who live with this condition. Right? Maybe someone's got asthma, child diagnosed with asthma. You're trying to reassure them. Look, there are lots of children who have asthma.
Ellen, can we share our personal experiences in that? For example, I have the same situation, and let me reassure you that this condition is treatable and it's not worrying like this.
In general, I would avoid personal stories in general. Sometimes it can work, but be careful. Again, it might sound a bit strange.
Okay.
Maxime, Muslim as well, and Saria. So Maxime, questions, sir?
Again, one quite direct question to you. Can I say something like, oh, it's totally normal to feel this way in a case like this?
Yeah, so that would be a great example. So it's totally normal to feel that way. I like that one. That's very nice. Muslim.
You say I'm terribly sorry.
like use the adverb terribly.
Yeah, I just personally, I think terribly doesn't sound like a doctor usually. That's more like a English gentleman is going to say that. You know what I mean?
I see.
Terribly.
We can say it's not uncommon.
Yeah, for normal, this is not uncommon. That's a good one. Yeah, this is not uncommon.
Common.
Tell them it's normal, guys. There's many phrases.
Routine, procedure.
This is the routine procedure. This is not uncommon. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, now, there's one other thing you guys can do this week. This week, I want you to practice empathy. And I don't want you to repeat the same phrase. Don't say, I'm sorry to hear that. 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 That's bad. This is a language exam. Okay, so what you need to be saying, guys, is, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, that's quite understandable. Oh, that must be difficult for you. You need to be changing your phrases. Last thing, last point. Can I combine them?
Yes.
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 Right?
Yes.
Very often native speakers will say, to avoid repetition, let's say you say, first time you say, I'm sorry to hear that. And then second time you say it and you think, oh no. Add on another one. Add them together. So like this. I'm sorry to hear that. That must be difficult for you. Is that natural to say that? I'm sorry to hear that.
Yes.
Two times that. Yeah, it's okay. Okay. So we can combine two together. You could say, that is understandable. I'm sorry to hear that. You could say, that's quite understandable. That must be worrying for you. Okay, maybe not these two together. We can't combine those ones. But does that make sense, everyone? We can combine them and avoid repetition by just putting two of them together. Okay, so Khalid, in your exam, maybe you say, if you think, oh, I just said repeated one, add in another one. Okay, add in another one. Okay, so that's really everything about empathy. Saria, you have a question.
Yes, under serious empathy situation, can we say, I'm extremely sorry to hear that?
I'm extremely, yeah, I suppose we could say that. I'm extremely sorry. Yeah, because of course you can. Yeah.
And then with the reluctant patient, some patients are very reluctant, you see, they are not accepting anything. So what do you do with that patients?
That would be a different topic. We can talk about that.
Okay.
Another one.
Okay.
Now, again, I want to say, guys, don't be shy. The whole point of this is an input session today. So we're just trying to understand everything that OET want. Okay. So there's 4 things they want to see. All right. A good introduction, showing respect, listening to the patient, not judging the patient, and also empathy. When it comes to empathy, number 1 error, repetitive language, repeating the same phrase. So you have all of this now to study. Okay. Are there any other errors that student makes? Let's talk about this. Common errors. Okay, number 1 error, repeating. Any other errors? What other errors are there? Put your hand up. Let's say put your hand up if you can think of some errors. I want to see what people think here. So maybe Rima, what's an error that student makes?
Too much empathy, I think.
Yeah, too much. That's a bit like Maxi when you were saying I'm terribly sorry or whatever, you know, like just going like, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, too many times, or if it's just a headache and you use serious empathy or something, that would be silly. So
too dramatic.
Much. What else? Yeah, too dramatic. I'll put this here. Too dramatic.
I think lack of empathy, like not showing our empathy overall, like.
Yeah, that would be the opposite. Forgetting.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, lack of empathy.
And this is probably, I'm going to put this as number 2, because this is the second most common error, especially for doctors. Okay. Because sometimes, guys, you will be thinking about your next question and you forget to give the empathy, right? You say, how are you feeling today? and then you say, tell me more about that. That's wrong. It must be, how are you feeling today? I'm sorry to hear that. Tell me more about that. Okay. So any other errors? We've had Khalid many times in this class. Farid, Farouk, what other errors are there?
In my opinion, using the correct type. Sometimes
so
people
type
use the
error.
wrong one.
Exactly. So you don't want to say, she says, oh, you know, my husband's got cancer. Oh, I can understand. Terrible, terrible, right? You'll lose marks for inappropriate language. Okay. Lucinda, can you think of any more now, or is that everything? Too dramatic, too much?
I think there is one, but I'm not sure. It can happen to use empathy when it's not necessary.
Yeah. Yeah. So when not needed, I suppose that's, yeah. Let's put it here. When not needed. What that reminds me. What about if the patient says, "I'm feeling great today. The medication's really working. I'm feeling so good." Should I be using empathy?
No, it's a really great news. You're making a
I am
progress.
glad to hear that, we can say.
Yeah. Now, is that empathy?
No, it's not empathy. It's like echoing something.
It's positive empathy.
No,
Reassurance.
Feelings. So, Khalid, it doesn't have to be bad. It can be good feelings as well. Okay. I think, guys, if the patient says something positive, my medication is really working. You guys need to be saying, oh, I'm glad. I'm glad about that. Right? That's empathy. So, Rima, I agree with you here. I think that is positive empathy. Can anyone think of an example of a positive empathy phrase that we might say? I'm glad about that.
That's really a great news.
Happy to hear that.
What about I'm happy to
hear
that? So of course,
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's too informal. Yeah, don't say that. Sounds good.
It's fantastic.
It's very difficult actually in the speaking because you can be informal a little bit. So it's difficult you cannot have too much informality, but usually in speaking, you can be more informal because that's more friendly. Okay. You can say I'm, not I am. Right? It should be I'm in speaking. Okay. So guys, this week.
Yeah, one left it, sir. One.
Oh, go on. Go on.
Yeah, voice. I mean, voice should be changed while we do some empathy.
What do you mean by tone? What do you mean?
Yeah, for example, tone. For example, not be too much harsh or not be too much I. Just shows that you're talking with someone and show your empathy. Sometimes we are not the tone is up or down or not. Yeah, it's affects.
So it's like the voice, right? The voice.
Voice, yeah.
Can you give me an example, Farouk, of a good empathy tone?
As you mentioned now that the patient say, this medication's affected me, and so, oh, I'm glad about that. So you make a sound that you show that you're happy now. If you say, I'm glad that so the patient say, oh, what's happened with me? Nothing affect me. And
frequency of speech.
And Ellen, smiling during the exam is allowed, for example, because it's recording. If we show the empathy and we smile during the conversation, it's okay, I think.
I don't think it's recorded now, is it? They don't record your face.
Yeah, no face, no voice recording.
So yeah, they can't see you smiling, but if that helps, guys. But just to be clear on this, right? This one, it might seem like a simple thing, but it is important. Farouk is right. Don't say this. I'm sorry to hear that. Right? You can't say it like that. Even if your language is very good, you're going to lose.
It must be natural.
You don't say, I'm sorry to hear that. It's got to sound real. So, Michelle, give me an example of a natural. Can you say this in a natural way?
Yeah, I would say like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Just a little bit soft. Yeah. Okay. Now, tomorrow, you guys are going to have some practice with Lawrence. You can go into groups and practice. But just for the last 5 minutes of this class, would anyone, we've got some very good students in this class, would anyone like to give a demonstration of empathy here with me? Or I tell you what, I'll do it. Can I have a patient? Alan demo. Okay. Put your hand up if you're going to be my patient. Lucinda, could you say hello?
Hello.
Okay. Now, let's say, what error does Alan make? Okay. So Lucinda, let's again say that you've got a headache. All right.
Okay.
Guys, so listen to me and tell me what error, empathy error, do I make? So 3, 2, 1, go. Hi there. My name is Dr. Wenham. I'm one of the doctors in this clinic. Can I just confirm your name, please?
Hello, doctor. My name is Lucinda Kasama.
Great. And may I call you Lucinda?
Yes, sure.
Okay, fantastic. So what brings you here today, Lucinda?
Well, doctor, in the last week I've been facing bad headache and I can't open my eyes. It's very difficult to watch TV.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Well, yes, it's more intense during the night. I think it's when I'm more tired. I feel more tired. I don't know, doctor.
Okay, and how often do you feel like this?
Well, it's been lately almost every day.
Are you taking any medication?
Only painkillers, but it's not really helping, doctor.
So let's stop there. What do we think? Did I make any errors there?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
You never give
No
empathy.
empathy, no empathy.
Okay.
Just one.
Just
I'm
one.
sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Now,
teacher, you never give empathy to patient.
I gave 1 at the start.
One. It's
Then I
the
stopped.
beginning.
Then I stopped, right?
Yeah.
So we need to do more than just 1. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, right? That's not enough. Should I do it every single time? No. You need to get a balance. So maybe 2 or 3 empathy phrases if it's like a headache. Okay. So you're right. Well done, guys. That was not enough. Let's do this again. Lucinda, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so let's make this a serious one now. Okay, let's say that your husband has been diagnosed with cancer. Okay.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go. So how are you feeling today?
Well, doctor, I'm really, really sad due to the diagnosis of my husband.
Oh, I'm really, really sorry about that. Could you tell me a bit more, please?
Well, yes. In the past 4 months, my husband has been diagnosed with cancer.
Right. I can imagine what you must be going through. I'm really sorry to hear that.
Thank you, doctor. I'm scared and I'm sad. I don't know what to do.
Okay, that's quite understandable. So let me try and help you today. Okay, stop there. Put your hand up if you think you heard some errors there. Don't shout out. Just put your hand up if you think you heard some errors. Zeynep, what mistakes?
You said I can imagine, not I can only imagine.
Well done. Did anyone notice this?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Allowed to say
Yes.
I can imagine. Is that okay?
No.
No, it's an error.
No.
An error. It sounds bad. Was there any? I think I made a few errors there. Lucinda, did you feel like I made some errors, some other errors?
I'm really, really sorry to hear that. You can use twice.
Did I repeated this twice?
Yes.
Okay. You read it. So there's repetition of that. I could have changed it to very, very, or I could have said, is there anything else?
Yeah, Alan, and the first, without you know the reason, and you say, I'm sorry to hear that, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that must be very,
Must be understandable.
Yeah. The patient not say why she is unhappy, and you said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, or something, because after cancer, you didn't use this one and use the other.
Yeah. Guys, you know when Lucinda said to me, I'm stressed about my husband's diagnosis.
Yeah, you can use IPP, what things bothering you or what is worried about, then.
But should I have asked her, could you tell me more about that? Should I say that?
No, that part is not correct. I was very
Because
confused.
she didn't want to say in the first time, so it's a way of like forcing her to talk about the situation.
So that was a big mistake for me. What do we say? What do we say?
As long as you are not a psychiatrist.
When there is a private topic and we want to talk about it, what do we say?
Ask permission.
Is it okay if I
it
ask
okay?
what diagnose your husband
Permission, I
has?
think.
Ask permission, exactly. So
Would
that
you
was,
mind?
as soon as I said that, Lucinda, I was like, oh no, that doesn't sound very good. So anything like that, cancer, family, it's often family history things, just ask permission. Is it okay if I ask you about it? If I ask you, right? Okay, we're going to finish here. I'm going to see you guys in the next class anyway. We're going to do some... No, I'm not actually. So this will be the last class from me. I'm going to finish here and I'm going to say, does anyone have any general questions about this before I go? Feel free to...
Yeah. Alan, sorry.
Please, go on, sir.
Instead of that, can we say it? For instance, that must be difficult. It must be difficult. It's the same, no?
Great question. The answer is no. Don't say it. It doesn't sound right. It must be difficult for you. No. Yeah. Strange that, isn't it? It doesn't sound natural. It doesn't sound like a native speaker. Okay. So guys, it's always that. Okay.
Okay.
Any other quick questions? Farouk, is this clear to you? Or any comments here, Farouk?
No, sir, it was from previous time. Sorry.
Okay. Guys, look, please review these phrases. These are, you can trust these phrases. They're really good phrases. So write them down, memorize them. They're very, very useful in almost any OET cue card because it's almost always the case you've got to give empathy. Almost like 99% of cue cards, you have to give some empathy, even when it's positive. Okay. So write these phrases down, memorize them, and come back tomorrow. We'll do some practice. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Hope it was useful today. And I'll
Thank
see
you, Alan.
Very useful.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Bye.
day. Enjoy the reading. Bye-bye.
See you.
So it's reading next, guys, with Paul. Every day we have reading at 12. Bye-bye.